We're Brianna and Keely, and you're listening to the Where We Live podcast, where we discuss all things home.
You'll hear from us on residential real estate, the process of buying and selling a home, design trends, entrepreneurship, faith, and much more. In this episode, let's talk about curb appeal. We spend a lot of time inside our homes painting, organizing, living, and enjoying, but how often do you think about the front of your house? Curb appeal can have a huge effect on resale value, neighborhood value, and overall happiness in your home.
Spring is a great time to invest in your curb appeal. These improvements don't have to cost much money, but can make a huge impact. Even if you're not considering selling, today's episode will be worth a listen. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm looking forward to talking about this today. I think it is one of the most neglected things about homes. Dallas is absolutely infamous for having cute houses inside, but absolutely hideous outsides. And we see that especially as realtors. So many people write off homes because the first picture is just horrible of the outside.
So we don't want this to be your story, and we're here to help.
Absolutely. So why does this matter? I mean, this is a huge point of focus, obviously, when selling a home. Most people are going to see the outside and absolutely decide a lot of what they think and their first impression based on how that feels to them.
And people will judge the neighborhood as a whole, too, based on how the outside of the other homes look. It'll give them a sense of what they think the neighbors are like and whether or not it's somewhere that they want to be.
Absolutely. So I think the thing that you need to ask yourself, homeowners that are listening today, is does your outside match the inside of your home? Are you taking great care of the inside, but you've done very little to the outside? Good job. We're proud of you. That's the thing you're looking at the most. But I do think there is something here for you to consider in sprucing up your curb appeal and really adding value to your neighborhood as a whole. So be a good neighbor, listen to this episode, take a couple things away, and make an improvement on how you look from the curb.
Okay, so let's get tactical.
Let's do it.
Break it down step by step and give everybody some ideas of what can they do today or this weekend to improve their curb appeal. So let's start with paint. Mm-hmm. How can we use paint to improve our curb appeal?
Gosh, paint can go a long way. And I think this is likely what most people think about when they think about curb appeal. So here's just a couple do's and don'ts from your friendly neighborhood realtors. If you choose to paint the brick, we have tons of brick homes here in Dallas, Texas, in North Texas as a whole. If you choose to paint the brick, which is very popular right now, lots of white brick, be sure to use a masonry paint that's not going to peel or chip on you long term. Painting your house is not a small project, though it can be done in a weekend if you want to do it yourself. But make sure that you get the right paint so you're not looking at it 2 years down the road and wishing that you had done it differently, or you have a bigger project on your hands because now you need to strip it and redo it again. So make sure that you're doing it wisely if you do choose to paint the brick.
Some other ideas of how you can use paint that are much less commitment, shall we say, than painting your entire house.
Lots of smaller ways to use paint.
So
yes.
Let's talk about the smaller ways. You can paint your shutters. If your house has shutters, changing the color of your shutters can dramatically change the look and feel of your house from the curb. So that's a quick, easy one to try. I would say look on Pinterest and look at different colors of shutters and how they look with the color brick that you have, assuming you have brick, and start there. And you can always change it next year because it's a smaller project.
Yeah, I always think it's really fun to paint your front door. That's something you can do in less than an hour. And a colored front door is such an easy touch. I know people that paint their front door a couple times a year, just depending on what they want to do. Yeah. It can give a great first impression, very low commitment, kind of similar to painting your shutters. And it just adds some personality. I have green shutters. I have a blue front door. I think our house is really fun from the curb. I'm obviously biased, but it's a really easy way to add some personality to your home.
And even just painting the trim on your home can be a drastic improvement. If you freshen up with some white or you use a contrasting color, it can make a huge, huge difference.
I think the majority of this would be painting it probably white or black. There was a dark hunter green house in my neighborhood. There was a purple trim house in my neighborhood. Both have recently gone to either black or white. It's been a huge improvement. So good job, guys. So be aware of that even just that can communicate, hey, we've taken care of the home. Things are looking fresh again. We're not just in the taupe family that was so popular for so many years, and get a little more modern and fun.
Okay, plants. is the next thing that I want us to talk about.
Let's talk about plants. You know I love that.
Yes, we're bringing Keely, our resident plant expert, in
Sure.
to help us understand what are some easy, quick things we can do regarding the landscaping and plants on our curb appeal.
So I would say, contrary to popular belief, this is one of the most inexpensive ways to add curb appeal. If you're not hiring a landscape architect and embarking on a giant project, which you absolutely do not need to do in most circumstances, just putting a little effort would be more than most people in Dallas. So this is one of the most inexpensive ways to do that. Get a couple fun annuals twice a year. Get some flowers that do well in the winter, some flowers that do well in the summer, and that's something that's going to cost you, I don't know, $20 to get your little decorative pot by the front door and make sure that you have something kind of fun and inviting there. I think the biggest thing that you can do here that costs you no money, but it's going to cost you some time, is just trim the bushes that are already there. Do some Googling, do some image searching, and just figure out how to care for the landscape that somebody already bought and that's been there. For most homes in North Texas, that's going to mean stuff that has had time to grow. It's going to be plants that are more mature, that would be more expensive if you went down to the nursery and bought them. And with the right care, you can really transform your landscape. I think that's been one of the most rewarding things about being a homeowner personally, was my yard was completely overgrown. I knew absolutely nothing about this. So this isn't coming from someone that was naturally a green thumb. Knew absolutely nothing, did a lot of Googling, a lot of image searching. Plants are very forgiving. And so there are very rarely going to be plants that you've pruned back too much that are never going to come back again. A lot of times that's exactly what they need. They need to just be like completely hacked back and give them a chance to kind of rejuvenate themselves, regrow. And so just take it one by one. Do some image searching. You can literally take a picture of a plant and it will tell you what it is now on the internet. That's amazing. And look up how to care for it. And you can do that. And trial and error is going to be completely fine.
Okay, I'm going to speak to my people here who haven't learned like Keely has and do not understand this plant language and plant lingo. I care about the plants on my front yard and I want them to look nice. I just don't have the understanding and knowledge that Keely and many others have. I typically know that it's time to go change out the plants when I see others doing it on Instagram. So we have created a solution for you. If you are not already subscribed to our email list, I want you to go to our website right now, the wherewelivepodcast.com. That's just wherewelivepodcast.com. And there you can download our free home maintenance checklist. We update this every single month, and there are always several different items related to landscaping, plants, etc., of what you should be doing when in the year to improve. Basically that's to improve your curb appeal and your backyard. So do yourself a favor, go download it. When you download it, you're going to automatically get it every single month, a new updated one. And that will help you, like it helps me, be more in touch with what I need to do when I need to do it.
I use the checklist myself. So, we created the checklist because it was something that we both wanted. It reminds me when to change my air filter. It reminds me when to prune my roses. All of it is super straightforward, entry level. And if it's not for you, like it wasn't for me, I didn't know how to do that, Google it and you'll be fine. Or DM us and we'll help you. We want to make this easy for you, not super complicated.
Okay, moving on to the next subject, windows. Windows are part of your curb appeal. You see all of the windows in the front of the house from the street. And it's not uncommon in Texas to have these big black solar screens. They keep a lot of the heat out because we have an intense heat here in the summertime, obviously, from our sun. But the truth is that they're pretty ugly. So if you're not effectively using them to save on your energy bill, get them out, especially if at the very minimum, remove them when you're going to sell your house. It is unbelievable the difference that it makes when you see a photo, even if it's a great professional photo of the front of a house that has the solar screens on versus the front of the house with the solar screens removed. It is an entirely different image. So at the very, very least, take them off before you sell your house, please. Just put them in the garage. You can keep them there for the next owner, but they need to be gone. And then also thermal seal loss. This is when you look at a window and it looks kind of foggy, you try to clean it off and you can't clean it off. That means that the thermal seal has been lost. This is a cosmetic issue, but if it's in the front of your house, it's always going to look foggy. So we would say consider replacing the glass. Doesn't mean you need to replace the entire window and window frame. There are companies that will replace just the glass for you. And then bars. Keely, you had a house in your neighborhood that even through, and it's not, Keely doesn't live in an area where you need bars on your window, but there were bars on her neighbor's window.
Yeah, ask my husband, this was such a pet peeve of mine. It was 2 doors down and the people had bars. This was also the house with purple trim, so I had a bone to pick with them, okay? But yes, they had bars on all of the windows. I mean, this is a neighborhood where I'm not concerned if my front door is accidentally left open at night, right? And so every time, if you're a buyer driving through a neighborhood, you see bars on the window, it indicates that there's something to be afraid of. There's a reason that that person has the security bars on the window. So if you're not worried about that, please take them off for the sake of your neighbors, for the sake of your resale value, and it will honestly let a lot more natural light on the inside of your home in as well. So those people, I'm happy to report, repainted their trim, took the bars off, all of that in the last year, and it was a great Christmas gift to me. They had no idea, but I'm very grateful. Another thing that hits close to home is the sidewalks in front of your home. So they're very basically, make sure that you're giving your driveway and your sidewalks a power wash about once a year. This is a great time of year to do that. Make sure that you kind of get all the goop and grime off that has accumulated in the last year. Everyone loves a good power wash. It's so satisfying. You can borrow mine if you're local. It is amazing, just night and day, what a good power wash can do on your driveways and your sidewalks. But the one that hits very close to home for me is I live in a really old house. It's about 80 years old. And the sidewalk in front of my house is just completely pitted out, right? There's huge parts of it that are missing. And when I'm working from the front room, all day you just watch kids riding their bikes and tripping on my horrible sidewalk. And so I want to make sure everyone's aware the city of Dallas, if you're in Dallas, has a sidewalk replacement program where they will essentially split the cost of the materials with you. The labor itself is free. So that's really good news. It takes a while. So I submitted for it in October. It's going to get done sometime this year. So it's definitely something that I think is worth submitting for ASAP. And when they get you the quote, you can kind of decide if you want to do that or not. But it's a good way to get your sidewalk fixed up, to help with the curb appeal of the neighborhood, and to split the cost, because concrete honestly can be pretty expensive. Mm-hmm. So
especially
they do
now.
it both your sidewalk and the beginning of your driveway, kind of the easement into the street. So definitely take a look at that. That's just in the Dallas 311. The information's all on their website.
Okay, so speaking of sidewalks and curbs and that concrete, this is something that you have at your house that I don't, is that cute little painted house number.
Yes.
Tell us about the options and how to personalize that and make sure that it's fresh and not worn off.
And house numbers in general are a really good point. I mean, updating your house numbers on the house itself can be a really easy way to add a modern touch. The sidewalk, I just think, is fun to add a little bit of flair. We had a guy that comes around once a year and leaves a tag on your door if you want your sidewalk painted, and it's like $20, and he did a little SMU Mustang for us, which was really fun. But you can do it yourself as well. Lowe's sells little stencils that you could just spray paint your house number in different colors. I've also seen there's a couple people on my street that have it tiled into the curb. I don't know how they did that. I want to know though, because it looks amazing. So yes, making sure that your house number is there is not only practical. If you ever need emergency services to come to your house, they'll know exactly where to come. And make sure your Amazon packages get delivered correctly, right?
Very important.
Priorities. Yeah, but it can definitely add personality to the front of your house.
That's just another example of there's so many little things that can go a long way. Great examples of things that you can change out much more seasonally. You can do it monthly if you want. Change out the wreath. You can have a wreath for each holiday. That's one of the best things that I do. You
have cute wreath collection. Yes.
I have a spring, a fall, and a winter wreath, and I love it. And I actually rotate them through. One goes in the wall inside my house, and one just waits in the garage while the other one is out on the door. And along with that, doormats. You have some cute doormats, and we can do seasonal and layer them, and we've shared some of that on social here before.
So we hope you got some ideas on how to freshen up your curb appeal. Even one or two of the small items is going to go a long way. So if you do some of these improvements, we'd love to see it. Tag us at dallas.haven on Instagram.
For more information on home improvements and what to avoid, go back and listen to episode 4 titled Top 5 Home Improvement Mistakes. That wraps up another episode of the Where We Live podcast. We want to hear which topics interest you most for our upcoming shows.
Head on over to wherewelivepodcast.com to continue the conversation in our Facebook group, read our blog, and connect with us. Thanks for tuning in.